to another broadcast of Jerusalem's Gates. I tell you, we got problems on the horizon, ladies and gentlemen. We got the fierce tiger China that's growing militarily, leaps and bounds every year, every month, every day. They're growing in technology, and they're growing in military, overall military strength. So is Russia. Russia, you have to hand it to Putin. He redone Russia's military on a shoestring budget, on a small fraction of what we spend on our defense. Putin modernized the Russian army to a superpower again. So we got two threats on the horizon. We got China and we got Russia. Now, how does this play in? The whole world is watching the last 2 decades. Russia rebuilding into a powerhouse again, and China that is on the march to surpass the United States economy and military strength. Now, remember that I told you many years ago in prayer, the Lord said, beware of China. They will test the West a little here. They will test their military power a little here and a little there. And you've certainly seen that. A little here and a little there, the Lord revealed in prayer. Okay, out of Fox News, here we go. U.S. Air Force, we're in danger of falling behind China and Russia by 2025. And this was back in 2018, this article came out. And in 2018, they said that the U.S. Air Force stated that they're in danger of falling behind China and Russia by 2025. We're soon to hit the year 22. That's like 3 years away. This article was put out December 11th, 2018. And they said that we're in danger of falling behind Russia and China. Okay, let's read a little of the article. The U.S. Air Force will fall behind Russia and China by the year 2025 unless the service quickly embarks upon a sizable expansion of its fighting technology, weapons, arsenal, and major attack platforms to include new bombers, fighters, drones, rescue helicopters, and more. Now, the head of the Air Force just gave a speech at a club, and he stated that we are not making enough of new fighter jets, whereas we used to do so many a year or put out one every 2 years. We're barely putting out any new jets. And the cost of maintaining the older jets is more than buying in and investing in newer, more high-tech jets. So we're falling behind in that, as per an article I read earlier today. So if this is right, if the Air Force is right in 2018, we're soon to fall behind China and Russia in 2025. And when this article came out, it wasn't that many years ago. Okay, now you're probably saying, well, what does all this mean? What are you trying to tell us? Well, this is what I'm trying to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, you heard me speak about this all the time, Ezekiel 38, and how the word of the Lord came to Ezekiel and told him, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog and the chief prince of Meshech. Meshech is what's understood by a lot of theologians to be the ancient term for Moscow. And how God says that, I'm not saying Putin is God. I'm not saying that. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that. But I'm just telling you what the scriptures are saying. This is God. This is what God is going to do. Because you heard me talk about Ezekiel 38 so much. I'm not going to go over it in detail again. But I just want to bring out an important. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even the great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. So what the scripture is saying, that there's going to be a time where God is going to drag these armies against Israel. God's going to draw them to the east. And God's going to do it. Listen to what it says here. let's see here. And right here. And this is the thing. I will go up to the land of the unwalled villages. Now, the land of the unwalled villages, what they're stating, Ezekiel stating here, is that Israel, ancient time Israel, in all countries, their protection were their walls. Their walls. And Ezekiel is saying one day Israel is going to be without walls, unwalled villages. In other words, they're not going to have any protection. Everybody's going to forsake Israel, and Israel's not going to have any protection. That's why it says unwalled villages. And this is why the armies, God is going to drag the armies to the east. To take a spoil, that shouldn't be in their mind. Why is China now getting involved in Afghanistan? Why is Russia involved in Syria now? And getting China and Russia getting heavily involved and taking over the oil-rich East, in my opinion. Well, Ezekiel says they're doing it to take a spoil. Now, all you have to do, spoil, is take off the SP and you have oil. So I think God is telling us right there, for the King James Version, that spoil, the spoil is the oil, O-I-L. I know that seems kind of fundamental, but God does work in ways like that, signs and symbols and stuff like that. And they're going to come in and try to get the oil from the east. Now, who is stopping them from taking over the east? Well, you have Israel, mainly. You have Israel. But God is going to draw these nations towards Israel himself. And some people say that God would never do that. God is going to draw the nations toward Israel. And Israel is going to think that they're totally unprotected. They will be unwalled. They won't have no walls, no protection. But God is going to intervene when this happens and do it either by Israel's military and by supernatural signs and wonders are going to destroy those countries that come against Israel. And the reason God is doing this in the near future is to prove to Israel once and for all that no other nation, no other people, nobody is their protector but the Holy One of Israel. He's called the Holy One of Israel for a reason. Jesus Christ is called the Jewish Messiah for a reason. And God's going to destroy these nations that come against Israel. And it's going to prove to Israel once and for all that don't depend on any nation, don't depend on anybody but the Holy One of Israel and your Messiah, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Now, before I'll close, Revelation 16:12, it talks about, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, and the way of the kings of the east. Kings of the east, in my opinion, is China. The kings of the east might be prepared. So God is going to dry up the Euphrates to let the kind of guide the kings of the east across, and he's going to draw them against Israel in the latter days. He's going to draw them against Israel to prove to Israel what I just said. And if I can give the nation Israel any, I don't know if any Jewish people watch this Jerusalem's Gate or not, but I've been to Israel, and I broke bread with the Israelites, and I've had deep discussions with some teachers of Israel, and they always say the same thing. Oh, tell you people back at home how dependent we are on them. And they always want to say they're dependent on the United States. Well, God is your Messiah, is your God, the Holy One of Israel, and Jesus is your Jewish Messiah. And that's where your protection comes from. God may use other nations to help you, but your true help comes from God, the nation of Israel. If anybody in Israel is listening, please Understand this. The United States is not your protector, although God may use the United States. Your true protector is the Holy One of Israel and your Jewish Messiah that came 2,000 years ago, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. But I just wanted to give this quick broadcast. I thought it was important to tell you China's building up. Every day China's getting stronger and stronger. China's got a taste of wealth and power, and they like it. And they're starting to get money. They're starting to get military power. Their economy is booming. And they soon surpass the United States, as per this article in 2018 by the Air Force, that we're going to be falling behind China and Russia by 2025. Some articles said by 2035. I think it's sooner than 2035. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to just to update you on the scriptures and the prophecy taking place. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love thee. Remember, Israel, God is called the living God of Israel for a reason, and Jesus is called the Jewish Messiah for a reason. They will not forsake you. They will not abandon you in your time of need. Don't think your security comes from anybody else other than God and Jesus. With that being said, you're watching and listening to another broadcast of Jerusalem's Gate. Remember, we love you. Thank you.